Hello and welcome. Let me introduce you to the one and only Latin America. Here you can see the main aspects that we would like to cover in this presentation. There are 33 countries in Latin America, well, most of them you can see in this map, but there are also a few little islands on the Caribbean. We shouldn't forget about those ones either. There are 600 million people living there, which is 8% of the whole population. The population of the region is growing, but not as fast as the global population growing. So in percentage-wise, it's decreasing. Let's talk about the cultural tradition of Latin America. The pre-Hispanic cultures, the Maya, Aztec, Inca heritage, have touristic attractions in the area, and it's a big part of the image of this region. And also the colonization had a big effect on the region. They exchanged religion and languages. And also there were physical exchanges happening, so plants and animals, and it was going both ways. The geopolitical conflicts that we brought here are not happening with Latin America, rather for Latin America. These big countries want to have more and more influence on Latin America, and let's see them. The USA has historical influence in the region, but now it's not the only one anymore. So it still has strong ties with Mexico, especially because of the security relations, but it's not that serious in economical wise. Rather, China is the most important trading partner nowadays, and these trading partners of China are Brazil, Chile, Argentina, and Peru. China has a big demand on raw materials because it doesn't have the resources, so it puts huge investments into the area to get these raw materials. And in exchange, it started, for example, the Belt and Road Initiative, which is mostly focuses on infrastructure and energy. Russia, on the other hand, has no economical interest because it mostly has the same resources as Latin America. These are rather political alignments. The main partners are Venezuela, Nicaragua, and Cuba, and they offer a foothold for Russia on the Western Hemisphere. So then I would like to talk about the natural resources, and I also have to tell you that I'm going to mention a few economical aspects because it would be really difficult to talk about these topics without the other. So the natural resources, well, we do know that there are a lot of natural resources in Latin America, but is Latin America resource rich or resource cursed? What even are these resources? Let's see, oil, minerals, which are mostly copper, iron ore, silver, lithium, and agricultural products, and also forests and hydropower. The exportation of these primary products, well, there are four main consequences of that. The first consequence is high dependency on resources, on global prices, on the global demand, and on foreign investments. It also causes limited industrialization because it only focuses on the extraction of these materials. It also causes income inequality because these extractions only benefit a small elite. And it has a big environmental impact: deforestation, the pollution, the soil erosion. These threaten the biodiversity and cause environmental degradation. One thing that is a very big key aspect of the economy of Latin America because of its resources, are the monoculture. It means that most of the countries focus on one single product, and their economy is made up of this one single product. The effects on economy is there's underinvestment in other sectors. Some examples for this would be Venezuela, which focuses 90% of its economy on oil. But this is something that not just happened in Latin America. We could see examples from the Middle East where they also focus on oil, or in Africa where they focus on cocoa in Ghana. But in Latin America, we can say that about a lot of countries. And the consequences of that is there are limited employment opportunities, lack of innovation, and difficulty adapting to the global shifts. And let's see some other economic aspects of Latin America. Well, the main regional problems are the poverty and the corruption. Here there are three economical aspects which are kind of similar in all the 33 countries, which is obviously very rare to find, but these three are that. So the pink tide, that was a leftish political movement in the 21st century in Latin America. And here you can see some key leaders from the past and from the present. And the aims of this is to reduce inequality and to redistribute wealth. But it also means revenue from commodities and increased social debt. And people were not a big fan of this after they found out that the left can also be corrupt. The 10 good years of Latin America were happening between 2004 and 2014. That was the era of commodity boom. There was a high global demand, especially from China. There was a big GDP growth. You can see the scales over there. They look kind of similar, but I want to bring your attention that one of them goes only to 4 and the other one to 6. So there was a really big GDP growth in that time. There was also poverty reduction. The poverty rate dropped significantly, and it means that tens of millions of people got out of poverty, which led to middle class expansion. And middle class expansion improved healthcare, education, and consumer goods. And it also gave chance to countries to manage their debts, and many countries were able to reduce their external debts. COVID, it's a really important aspect of our era. All the countries were affected by it, and there was a significant GDP decline in this time. And we are really hoping that there were 10 good years that we talked about. There were 10 bad years, especially with COVID. And now we're hoping another 10 good years to come, or even more. But there was also unemployment rise in these times. And these data don't even describe well enough how big the unemployment rise was. Because we have to know that in Latin America, obviously, we can just guess, but more than 30% of the people work in gray economy, which means they don't officially have jobs. And they were the first ones to lose their job through COVID. So this is what we wanted to share with you about Latin America. Thank you to the organizers of the Budapest Science Camp, to my amazing teammates, and to our mentor, who wasn't only just very fantastic, and we received very interesting presentations from her, but she was also the one who provided me with our resources, which were 2 books that I can tell you about later on, if that's a question. So thank you so much.